Time, gang.
Woo!
I what?
All that waste when you could have just eaten the fucking brownie.
What? So, well, welcome to the Gospel of Comics, everybody. We got a churchless
We are not the
show.
gospel of comics anymore. We are the gospel of food. We watch way too many food vids to be the gospel of comics anymore.
I mean, that's not really fair, but we're gonna be going on some weird reviews because there's not a lot of stuff that's really in our wheelhouse, except for things that I don't want to watch, like Agatha All Along, because it's a nexus of so many trends in media right now I hate, and I want to die.
Oh,
And what?
I'm so pissed about my computer issues last week because I watched that fucking Venom movie before the show. It's so fucking stupid.
It really amps.
It really is. So I watched a movie called The Substance.
You
Now I
know,
know
they
what you
kept
said.
pushing me on that one too, and I didn't
Mm,
watch it.
mm, mm. So do you know what The Substance is?
No.
Well, The
I don't think
Substance
I'm
is
legally allowed to comment on that.
I mean, I know
mm,
about the
mm.
stuff, but that's a different movie.
That's a different movie. So the substance is a chemical that makes a clone of you that emerges from you. That is it's your perfect self. It's your best self, and you get to live as that person for 7 days, and then that person has to go dormant while your older, less successful self gets up and has a week. So that's the plot device we have here that frames our story. So our main character was a successful Hollywood actress. Does some dancing and jazzercising kind of stuff, and she's past her prime. Not only is she past her prime, her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame has been like broken and disparaged, and she gets fired from her show. So she gets the substance, and she gets to become a younger version of herself. Takes over her show, and instead of being like a jazzercise show, a show about encouraging women to get healthy and get exercise, it's we're doing exercise but slutty, and it's a super successful show. But the problem is that her non-youthful, energized self is just watching TV, getting depressed, and causing problems for her young, successful self. And this leads to a fight between the two sides of herself, which lead to her turning into a horrible flesh golem that explodes and is destroyed on the star. So this is a different sort of movie than the kind I normally bring to the table. So this is a movie that's about the pursuit of youth. The fact that you could stop pursuing youth at any point in time, but you can't go back. That you become burnt out in youth husk, but you can at least be yourself. Um, it's about fame, celebrity. Dennis Quaid plays a scumbag Hollywood producer in it. Acting's good, effects are all good and excellent. Um, I would recommend this movie if you're in a mindset to watch something that's a little out of the ordinary. But my problem with the movie is there's this very pessimistic thing that's been in movies for a while. Do you remember Wonder Woman 1984?
You say that like it's a far-flung ancient period of history.
I mean,
Well, I
I,
mean,
I haven't got through the other 1,982 movies yet, so I haven't quite got to that one.
well, that was the movie that came out in 2020.
Oh yes, part of the expanded Wonder Woman cinematic universe that doesn't have Superman in it. Right.
Well, no, it did have Superman in it, but it's gone now. It's all gone.
Well,
But one,
that's the one where she sexually assaulted a dude, isn't it?
yes, she did rape a guy in that movie. But in that Wonder Woman movie, the villainous antagonist had an ideology, which is life is good, but it could be better. And Wonder Woman's ideology is, you just have to accept and be happy with what you get. And we also have that same message in the Doctor Strange and the Multiverses of Madness.
Wait, how is he wrong?
Well, he's wrong.
Something can always be better.
Well, he's wrong because people who have politics that are different than ours say that the pie can't get bigger; it can only be smaller.
You say politics that are different than ours. The three of us have the three most different politics I can possibly imagine.
Yes, yes, but all of our politics are based on the fact that society can get better. We can make improvements that enable people to have higher quality and improvement in life. These people believe
starting
that
with guillotines.
Well, I mean, that's one approach. And these people who make these movies have the opposite perspective. They believe that everybody needs less. And that if, by everybody meaning less, of course, people who aren't important like them need less. And once that happens, everybody else will be happy. And I was just wanting to talk a little bit about this pernicious thing going on.
Well,
That, we don't have this thing about this 50-year-old actress, dancer, jazzercise enthusiast saying, well, maybe I could do one of those podcasts and reinvent myself. No, it's all about the shallow pursuit of youth and the shrinking of things.
So the thing is that on a certain level, and we're talking just objectively base, removed from Hollywood for a minute, the idea of be happy with what you got. Just allow yourself to be happy, because wanting more forever harms you more than it helps you is not a bad idea. Okay? It's not. Objectively, it's not a bad idea.
Right. But the Wonder Woman movie said wanting more is what the problem is.
Right.
Not wanting more forever, just wanting more, period, was what was evil.
The problem is that these films don't actually show people being happy. They don't show contentment.
Right.
Right? They don't show recovery.
Right.
But I think
there's actually East German movies where the characters sung about having itchy clothes. It's this sort of a weird art.
But I think there's another facet to this that I have noticed. Have you noticed the number of videos and commentaries that are X villain is right, and then the presentation is something they said that it was objectively wrong?
You mean how in the new Doctor Doom event, which is dumb, Doctor Doom tells the Avengers they should just take over the world? And the Avengers are like, what are you, retarded?
Well, what I noticed, I saw a video, I couldn't watch it. It was too painful. The first clip was Magneto in the new First Class movies, talking to a bunch of laborers about, imagine yourself being dead, and then imagine how that's going to hurt your loved ones forever. Right? But the thing is, there was no context, so it had no significance. I'm like, okay, that could almost be right. I can imagine Magneto making an emotional appeal to not die for useless causes. Okay, right? But then it immediately jumps to big hero number 5, and the villain says, "I lost someone important to me, so I'm going to take everything you care about from you." That's not right. That's malevolent revenge. That's objectively a bad, right? But this is the thing we do now, is that we try to make interesting and complicated villains, and then we seem to think that what that means
Well,
is that they
hold
have
up.
to have a moral component and be correct, but they're not correct. That's why they're villains.
Well, hold up. None of these are morally complex.
Right, but they think
Right.
they are because they said something that sounds complicated.
Yes, it's how stupid people write smart people.
Right. And I'm saying I think that it is a component of the same problem, not even from a different angle, but that propensity where this is stupid people describing, happiness when they themselves are not happy.
I mean, I'm in a situation where I make $35,000 a year, and I make more money than assistant editors at Marvel Comics who live in New York fucking City. 35 grand a year in New York City is get yourself a new salary range, because you're going to want to kill yourself.
Well, let me talk about something stupid from game for just a minute. Some years ago, I was in a game set in a super future in space. Okay? And I was playing a vampire priest, and I was ministering to the poor and the indigent, right? Because my fellow players and I were really pushing this idea that, man, look, there's no opportunity on this space station. There's nowhere to go. There's no advancement. So these poor people are going to be poor forever, and that's awful, right? So some players were like, well, we'll just throw money at the problem. And we'd get into it with them. We'd be like, you can't just throw money at the problem. Throwing money at poverty doesn't fix poverty. We know this from real life. If giving poor people money ended poverty, no one would be poor, right? And they didn't like that. So we got into some serious in the weeds arguments about it. And the thing is that the people who were in opposition to us were saying, look, you have to give them opportunity. You have to give them dignity. You have to give them humanity, because they have to want a better life, right? Couldn't understand it because they thought that being poor must be the worst thing ever. That you're perpetually unhappy, that you're perpetually sad, that you're perpetually helpless, and you just get into drugs and alcohol and violence because that's all you know. Which there's almost a logic there, right? But then here am I going, no, you guys don't know what it's like to be poor. When you're poor, you manage your expectations. Things that make you happy are reasonably fucking minor. Why are you so happy today? I got $5 on a scratch ticket. Oh, that's awesome. What are you going to do with it? I don't know. I think I'm going to buy a sandwich. This is a wonderful day. Right?
Exactly.
That's contentment. Things suck. Life ain't great. But I have found something that's good enough today to be okay with. Right? They're in these films and in these television shows and these books, they're always trying to look for some kind of external ultra happiness, some hyper authenticity that doesn't exist because I'm unhappy in my current reality. And the fact of the matter is that no, the happiness is all around you, man. Contentment is a warm bath on a cold day. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Just fucking relax. This is writing by really like anxiety laden people with imposter syndrome who are like, if I don't feel happy all the time, then I clearly don't feel happy any of the time, and everything is fake.
I mean, you gotta actualize yourself.
Yeah, you gotta be actualized.
But they don't really talk about the hierarchy of needs, because they don't talk about what's at the base of the needs pyramid. because the base of the needs pyramid it causes problems for their argument. Do you remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Aaron?
Yeah.
What was it? What were you taught was at the base of the pyramid?
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm not being a dick, but I just want to take a minute to say I am shocked that Ayrton McCartney, who is the most like grounded, normie, I'm not into this academic bullshit kind of guy, is like, yeah, I know Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
What do you mean
fuck?
I'm not into this academic bullshit?
Because
I
you're
mean,
the kind of guy that straight up says, "Oh wow, that's some academic bullshit. That's bullshit." Because it's
Yeah.
not applicable to you.
But what were you taught was the base of the pyramid of Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Oh, big booty Latina.
So
Basically,
well, hold up. You were actually taught correctly. Most people aren't. It's your physical needs, of which getting some is your base need. Is included all
Isn't
that
something?
base stuff.
Isn't something like? Isn't it like human connection or some bullshit like that? Is how they phrase it.
No. You know, it's your physical needs. It includes sexuality as well as food.
right.
Oh, okay.
The human connection stuff's actually higher level needs.
Well, let's call it what it is, because they don't want to put it in language. But we're not academics. What they're saying is that the base need that you need, besides food, water, and shelter, is the ability to masturbate. Because if you can't get a big booty Latina, but you can jack off in comfort, that's good enough.
and that's your bare minimum.
Right.
Now, on a related note to that, I watched another film.
You should share my screen.
Give me a second.
Is it got a big booty Latina? Because let me tell you, I'm into that.
No, it's actually not relevant to anything we've talked about.
Based. It's very based.
Yeah, no. More loots. Add a fucking hurdy-gurdy.
But so I watched a movie called Woman of the Hour. And I watched this movie because I heard about it in the commentary.
Kinda.
Well, hold up. It's about Cynthia Sweeney or Cindy Sweeney or whatever her name is. The actress who has big boobies that impressed people. She made Madam Web, that shitty movie for
right. Is this the film that she wanted to make that she made Madam Web for so that she could get to do her preferred film?
Yes.
Okay.
So I felt the need to do my analysis on this.
I don't have a sound effect of somebody jerking off, so one of you are just gonna have to do it and hold your mic up to your dick.
But so the movie is based off of a semi-real story about the time a serial killer got on Dating Game.
Oh, yeah, I know that guy, Alcala.
Yeah. So this is told from the perspective of a young Hollywood actress who ends up surviving that situation and all of that, and it's all about the unfolding of this scene and all of this through the perspective of multiple different people. It was an entertaining movie. It's not the sort of thing I normally go in for. But again, this is all about, people not engaging with reality. The question that revealed this man to be a serial killer is, what are women for? And he provided an extremely graphically inappropriate answer. So I would also recommend this movie because it's good. It's not like a actiony comedy good, but I mean it's a good movie. It's well put together. I would recommend it. It's a good time. But I really had a good time with the Netflix show The Diplomat. Now, Ayrton and Rune, you might not remember, back when season 1 of this show came out, we talked about it on the show. So, to refresh your memories, The Diplomat is about a female U.S. diplomat who is in a very unrealistic scenario being groomed to become the next vice president of the United States. That was your plot on the tin, and all of the other plots are in assistance to this plot.
Yeah, sounds good.
there was a incident where some missiles blew up a British ship. The British government tried to blame the Iranians. It
Based.
wasn't. It wasn't the Iranians. It was the Russians. But it's actually just one Russian. The Russian government turned him over, and the Americans and the British had to negotiate with the French to get access to him. And the French were like, "We kind of think the British are going to kill this guy." And the British Prime
Only
Minister,
100 years war, Batman.
yeah, yeah, and the British government does in fact authorize his death. And the American ambassador's husband, who was a rock star ambassador who has to accept that it's his wife's time to shine, gets blown up in a car bomb. That was season 1 in a nutshell.
Wait, why did the Irish randomly show up?
It wasn't Irish. It was British people who did
That's cultural appropriation, and I am offended.
it. So season 2 is all about uncovering the fact that there was a plot. There's a plot in the British government to do this, and they first thought, well, the Prime Minister's obviously the one who did it. He had the most to gain and the most to benefit, but it turns out it wasn't the Prime Minister who set all of this up. It was, in fact, the Vice President of the United States. Now, here's a question for y'all. Why would the Vice President of the United States want to cause a war with one of her allies and another country who we don't like, and also antagonize another country that we don't like, but we kind of have to talk to?
Because a plot has to happen.
Well, no. The plot is actually...
you mean an actual reason? Okay.
No, there is an actual reason in
No,
the plot,
I'm sure.
and it's well thought out. So the Scottish referendum for independence was getting very close. And it turns out that there's only one nuclear missile submarine base in the entirety of the North Atlantic. That's in Scotland. So if the Scottish people got out of there, we wouldn't have any nuclear submarine bases in the North Atlantic. And this would be a very big problem if, like, the Russians were, I don't know, probing our defenses with their nuclear submarines. So the vice president's like saying, hey, British government, what if you create a false flag event to rally patriotism in your country and then unite your country again so this isn't a problem? Because the American government is terrified of secessionist movements within NATO powers, causing NATO to break up and have all the totalitarian regimes run roughshod over the NATO alliance. This is all relatively well thought out. I mean, it's unrealistic, but it's well thought out.
It's as realistic as a Tom Clancy novel.
Some of those Tom Clancy novels were actually realistic.
Sure, but I'm just saying it's a political thriller dealing in pseudo-political realities. That's okay.
Yes.
It doesn't need to be 100% accurate for the purposes of the thriller.
Yes, and the vice president, tears down our protagonist's appearance because she's supposed to look better because she's supposed to be on the big stage now, and the husband of the American ambassador decides, instead of telling the Secretary of State, hey, listen, the vice president might have accidentally committed high treason, he decides to tell the president of the United States this thing. The president has a heart attack and dies.
A treason-sized whoopsie.
Yes, and so the evil vice president is now becoming the president. So
I think we need a guy, you may have heard of him, the name of Jack Bauer. He'll sort that shit out strong.
I mean, yeah. So the big selling point for this show is, do you guys remember the TV show The Americans?
Vaguely.
It was about two Russian spies living in 1980s America as, deep cover operatives. Well, the actress and actor who played
Sorry about
the
that.
actor and actress who played said spies are playing the ambassador and her husband. So those actors have a good charisma. They're good television actors. It's good. It's well produced. All the actors have good charisma with each other, and I like it. They had a really great scene. So the political fixer who set up the whole blow up a British ship, which wasn't her plan. But the missiles accidentally hit where all of the diesel fuel was, and that caused the whole complement of the ship to be killed. She tells the prime minister, "Yeah, I did it." And the Americans, the British, think, "Oh, the prime minister will do something to arouse suspicions of him because he was culpable." That is not what the prime minister does. What would you write the prime minister doing in this situation where he was not responsible for this, and he's told by a woman who is like a mother to him that she blew up a ship, killed like 60 British sailors?
I mean, if you're asking me, I would deflect my culpability away from it so hard that it spun.
Well, right, that was the expected turn. The unexpected turn was he tries to beat her to death with the furniture in the castle they're in.
The fuck? That is no. Let's be clear here. It's either deflect and defer. It wasn't me. It was the one-armed man. Okay.
Mhm.
Or it's lean into it and take a moderated political result. Right?
Yes.
Those make sense. Those I'm open to. What the fuck do you mean? I beat her to death with the furniture. They'll never catch me.
Is he
Well,
playing
no.
Winston Churchill? Like,
Oh, no. He doesn't beat her to death with the furniture because he's guilty. He does it because he's innocent. And this
What?
woman who is his mentor reveals that she committed high treason against the British crown.
No.
Eh.
No. That is the dumbest fucking thing, Larry.
Hmm?
Why?
That-
Why did he beat her to death with the chair?
well, no, he didn't beat her to death. He beat her nearly to death.
Yeah, but why?
Because he's extremely impulsive.
Well, then he's a bad politician.
yeah, she's just mostly dead, Rune.
All right.
Come on.
All right, look, I'm gonna come at this from a side angle, and then I'll very quickly get to my point. I can't watch the show Dexter.
Right.
Okay, I can't watch Dexter because even if it's based on a book that is somehow very, very good, right? I am actually familiar with the visual and social cues of psychopathy, right?
Yeah.
I know why
yeah.
a psychopath cannot work in blood and fiber for the police. Somebody would notice. This guy would be weird. He wouldn't make eye contact. He would avoid social interactions because if he gets the wrong kind of stimulus, he is apt to act out in a negative fashion that
Yeah.
would harm his
Hey,
ability to function.
I resemble that statement.
You can resemble it as much as you like. Shut up. The problem is that then we go, okay, let me get this straight. So we have a politician who is impulsive. So he's not a politician. He's a failed politician because his impulsiveness would see him undermined and destroyed. Okay, let's assume for a minute that he felt betrayed by his mentor and he lost control. He just wigged the fuck out because
Yes.
this was the hair that broke the camel's back.
Yes.
Fine. Except, wait a minute, he was, quote, innocent previously. Now he is very guilty of attempted murder.
Well,
And-
here's the
No,
fun part
I'm not
for
done
him.
yet. I'm not done yet. Any evidence he has to bring is now suspect. Because you just
Well-
assaulted the person you're accusing of a crime and almost murdered her. Right?
Well, here's the fun part. Here's the fun part. He ordered the execution of the Russian oligarch who was going to provide more evidence against the people in the conspiracy.
Right, but that's not how that works. Whether you like the systems of governance or not, and I'm not going to try and defend the government as being good. We all know the government's full of bullshit, right? The fact of the matter is that you bring cases with things called evidence,
Mhm.
and you bring chains of custody, and you use processes to organize your thoughts. If she's like, I did a bad, and I admit it, I did a bad, and now I'm going to
Not only did she admit it, she said, I will hang for it, but you won't.
right. You turn that shit in. You take it to the media. You say, I have been told that such and such did such and such for these reasons, and it was wrong.
Now, here's the fun part. There's the other shoe dropping in the show, where the American vice president, in a meeting with the British prime minister and the foreign minister, they says, listen, I know you guys want to clear the air on this thing, expose the people in your government who did this. You should go after the people in your government who did this. But look, if we admit that we framed the Russians for a casus belli against your government, then, well, no one will believe us if we ever say the Russians do something bad again.
If we admit that thing we totally fucking did, everybody will be mad at us.
Yes. And she says to the prime minister, look, you wait a year, you wait 2 years, and the prime minister says, well, I mean, if it's 2 years, why not 10? And she's like, exactly. And our smart protagonist thinks, wow, she's tough, and she's, with it, and she's a strong leader. And her husband's like, babe, she was in on the conspiracy. That's why she did that. Which is actually the way they were writing her character. They're actually writing her character to be, intelligent, smart people who know how to do their job well, sometimes fuck up.
I mean, I'm open to that, but I just wish the fuck-ups were less overt fuck-ups. Because the thing is that there's something to be said for the grade of your fuck-up, right? Smart person smashes their toe, it's like, oh, well, that hurt, that was unpleasant. Right? Smart person is like, this guy just beat somebody with a chair leg. Maybe I should do something about that. There's not a lot of wiggle room for nuanced storytelling there.
Also, there was a subplot where the CIA was holding this woman, who was the mentor to the prime minister, and the CIA didn't really want to hold them, but the British government wouldn't take them. And the CIA is like, also, there was another subplot where the CIA chief of station, hacked into the British Prime Minister's cell phone. There were a lot of poor decisions made by the United States government in that show.
Also, hail the commander.
Hail commander. So those are the sorts of media I consumed for reviews. There wasn't a lot of comic book stuff. So Joe, did you
actually I have something.
Oh my god.
Okay.
So I haven't watched it yet, but I found this clip of a movie. Larry, if you want to pull that up on screen, let me know when you got that up. And I think we need to watch and review this based off of this.
I mean, I'm already interested in
30-second clip.
You're not going to be interested when you see it.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Oh, it's wonderful. It looks great. We're totally reviewing this.
The fuck, Asia? I was almost sold, and then it decided, what if I was retarded?
Wait, just wait. Oh. So I think we need to watch that.
Are we all disappointed in Ayrton collectively?
I mean, we watched somewhere where somebody used a secret martial arts technique based around queefing.
Dude, I've seen some chicks shoot some ping pong balls with some force. All right. This is totally believable that she could shoot a blow dart.
So tonight on Ayrton's Barely Concealed Fetish.
Barely. When have I ever even slightly concealed a fetish on this show?
Yeah,
it's true. Problem. It's true. So Joe, did you consume any media that you wanted to talk about for the people?
Something you mentioned earlier, and I think indeed cogent to our broader conversation. I am really tired of false flags.
I agree.
I am really tired of false flags everywhere. I watched Terrifier 3. I finally buckled under and I said, I'm going to watch Terrifier 3 because I've seen Terrifier 1 and I've seen Terrifier 2. And you know what my opinion of Terrifier 3 was?
It's not very good.
No, it's perfectly fine for what it is. It is more of the same. It is
What
painfully
per-
mid, and
what
it isn't
percentage of it is jump scares?
none. They don't hinge on jump scares in Terrifier, but it
Okay,
is,
well, that's
Speaking of
however,
flags,
slightly less disgusting than its predecessor. And I want to be clear, it's less vile in the physical violence than its predecessor, which is somehow an accomplishment. But everyone was losing their shit because it's like, oh no, Terrifier is #1 in the nation, but Joker is a fail. And it's like, yeah, because they gave people what they wanted. What they wanted was a good horror movie. But you know what? It's okay. It ain't great. The false flag is the idea that this was somehow the worst and most dangerous evil thing in the world that's damaging our country because they wanted to tear down an indie film actually attaining the #1 slot. How dare it? And the thing is that more and more I find false flags everywhere. Everyone is gaslighting everyone about everything.
Oh, that was actually a
Ga-
line in The
ga-
Diplomat. was
gaslighting's not
the-
real. You're just crazy, Rune.
Well, no.
Sure.
There was actually a line in The Diplomat where the vice president, the U.S. ambassador to Great Britain, were both accusing each other of gaslighting. It's like, no, you're gaslighting me. No, you're gaslighting me.
That's almost funny, actually.
I laughed. So, what do you? Can you give us a sort of a taste of what the Terrifier franchise is all about?
All right.
'Cause, I
So
mean,
let's talk
it's a
about.
horror clown movie, and I'm
Well,
like going, I'm not
So
interested.
let's talk about Terrifier 1. What is the plot of Terrifier 1? You meet Art the Clown at the very beginning. He's preparing his makeup, he's getting his tools. He is a slasher villain, and he's going to go a slashing tonight. And on
Okay.
Halloween night, he meets some girls at like a donut shop, and he smiles at them and flirts with them, but he's like a Pircaro, so he's like one part mime, one part clown. He doesn't talk to them, right? But they are his victims of choice. And you follow them through their night of terror as he stalks and murders people around them while seeking to capture and murder them. And the climax of the film is not when he whips out a gun and shoots the final girl and the cops and then himself to avoid capture. Okay? The climax of the film is when he takes the final girl's best friend, stripped naked and hung upside down, and chainsaws her in half horizontally.
Huh.
Okay? Is it gross? Yes. Is it horrifying? Yes. Are there other horrifying things in this film? Yes. Is it also blunt like a fucking brick? Yes. But if you're a horror hound, all of it is well told. All of it is very well structured. It does actually have some unsettling spoops where you're like, that was scary. And so the first one was a good watch because spoilers for an old movie. At the end, Art the Clown shoots himself in the head and is dead. And if they had stopped there, would have been fine. But no, Art is brought back by some evil force for Terrifier 2. And in
He's
Terrifier
brought
2,
back by the clown force, like the Speed Force, but for clowns.
well, if you listen to certain YouTube channels, he was brought back by Satan, but I think that's fucking pushing. Yes, he was brought back by the Clown Force.
I mean, I like the concept of the clown force.
Yeah, the dark side of the Clown Force brought him back. Somehow
Yeah.
Art the Clown returned. But the thing is he comes back and he finds a new final girl. The new final girl is a kind of a bit of a hard ass. She wants to be tough. She wants to be cool and not affected by things, and she's gonna go as a sexy angel for Halloween. None of which works out to her benefit. But she kills Art the Clown and decapitates him. And you think, okay, that's got to be the end. There's no more. She defeated the supernatural Art the Clown. He's dead. It's done. Leave it in the dust. No, we got Terrifier 3. What's Terrifier 3? It's the same movie, but 5 years later. And while the main character from the first movie deals with literal, actual, meaningful PTSD because she saw all of her friends brutally, savagely maimed and murdered, right? Art the Clown has returned from death on Christmas Eve to get his revenge. And you watch her parents get slaughtered. You watch her her not boyfriend, who's a fellow survivor, get killed. You watch everyone assume she's fucking crazy because she's talking about how Art the Clown is back from the dead and gonna get me, right? And ultimately, it's her and her little sister, who's a kid, fighting Art the Clown and Art the Clown's evil girlfriend, who is the survivor of the first film, gone completely insane, right? And eventually it ends with the final girl entering a portal to presumably hell to save her little sister for a intended follow-up film, right? But
Which is
is
probably
there
going to happen
any?
now.
I'm sorry, what?
Which will probably happen now because of how successful this
Probably
is.
will. But the thing is like, is it a good movie? Is there any teeth to this movie? No, it's really kind of by the numbers, because the real selling point of the Terrifier films is what's called Grand Guignol. We're going to show extreme, graphic, realistic, almost to the point of cartoonish depictions of violence, right? So we didn't just kill her family on Christmas. We murdered her family on Christmas to replicate the crucifixion of Christ. Why? Because it was as vile as we could possibly be.
See, now that actually makes me think of. I started watching the Creepcast podcast. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
It's actually really good. It's Wendigoon and Meat Canyon.
Yeah,
we talked about those guys.
I have seen it. I have not watched them together at great depth because, quite frankly, I don't find Wendigoon very interesting. He's kind of bland.
Yeah, so they're Creepcast. They basically read creepypastas and SCPs and stuff like that and comment on it. It's pretty fun. I've been enjoying it, but that seems to be a common trope with like horror writing, is like the first bit of a story is really good, and then they kind of finish it. They give you kind of like a decent ending and stuff like that, and they like it gets super popular. So the writer's like, "Fuck, I need to capitalize on this," and they try and extend the story out more, and it just like ruins all of it and makes it shit.
Well, because the follow through was a friend of mine and I. They approached me and they were like, "Hey, can we watch this?" And I'm like, "Wow, you want to watch that? Do you want to watch the original or do you want to watch the remake?" And they're like, "I don't watch the remake." So we watched The Hills Have Eyes, and the remake by the French guy who did the film. I forget the name of the film, but basically he was part of the French extremity art movement. Did a really good remake of The Hills Have Eyes 1, right? And so they got money and they did a Hills Have Eyes 2, and The Hills Have Eyes 2 was so bad that it killed the nascent franchise. And then having watched it, they were like, is there anything else in this style we could watch? And I said, well, you can watch Wrong Turn. And they're like, what's Wrong Turn? And I'm like, it's the same movie, but it's basically in the Appalachians, right? And so we watched it, and I was like, only watch the first one from 2006. Do not watch the more recent remake, because the more recent remake said, what if we took the idea of Wrong Turn and we made it political and we made it about righties living in the woods, and it's like, no, nobody wanted that. We just want a good horror movie, guys. So we watched Wrong Turn, and it was okay. It wasn't great because these films are not great, but there are like 6 Wrong Turn movies. And I was like, don't watch any of those. And they were like, why? And I'm like, because they just get more extreme. They're just gore for gore's sake. There's no story. There's no emotional context. They are not interesting films. And we actually had more fun being nerds talking about, okay, well, what is this in the world of darkness? I mean, we took a deep dive in role-playing games talking about how this is replicated in our favorite local horror game.
Yeah.
Because that's more interesting than the movies themselves.
So what is it with the horror genre in general that seems to have that issue? So I mean, I'm not like super big into it. Like horror movies, I normally get bored with because it's like, oh, saw that coming. But
I've been trying to ponder which I like less, horror or musicals.
For me, that's solidly musicals, but I know where you're
Yeah,
coming from.
that's what I think as well, because I can think of more horror movies. I'm like, going, man, this was a really good movie.
So
I can't think of a musical movie necessarily that okay, there's a couple that I like, but I can think of like other musical like TV show specials or actual stage musicals that I've liked.
Mhm.
So let me answer your question by talking about a different genre for a minute. Do you like Terminator?
I've
Yeah,
actually I've never seen Terminator.
Did you like
Terminator's a
Terminator
slasher
2?
movie.
Did you like Terminator 2? Or are you saying you've never seen any Terminator film?
I've never seen any Terminator film.
Oh wow, okay.
This shouldn't surprise you guys at this point.
No, it just means that one of these days we gotta grab you and be like, okay, we're hanging out, we're watching Terminator. It'll be a wonderful afternoon. That's a nice time. But here's the thing. Terminator 1, as Larry says, is basically a slasher film by way of a action film. Right?
Mhm.
And if you ask
That's what makes it work so well.
Right, but if you ask the question, it's like, okay, so what is Terminator 1? The Terminator 1 is about a robot from the future that is hunting down an innocent woman and murdering her friends as it tries to get its way to her.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, solid, done. What is Terminator 2? Well, Terminator 2 is basically more of the same with some mixing things up to make it interesting. But it's not deep. It's not complicated. It's just more of the same, as you'd expect. Horror movies have that built-in problem. They are popular enough in their shock and horror to get sequels, to get funding for sequels, right? But when you get to the question of, okay, we're doing a sequel, now what's in it? The actual ultimate answer is more of the same. More of the same of the more. There's not really much more to do. So you either make a solid film that is a little bit more, but it is essentially a crowd pleaser, right? Or you try to do more of more, where every film is an escalation, every result is more extreme than the last. Did you see the last one where we did that really awful thing? What if we did that really awful thing, but even worse? And while that can sometimes work, like Aliens, the movie Aliens, is basically, what if we did Alien, but there were more aliens, and the aliens were even grosser, and we had big guns to fight the aliens, and the aliens were not big enough. You know, the guns weren't good enough to kill the aliens. That can work, right? But it can just as readily fucking fail.
Okay.
The real problem, as Larry pointed out just by asking a question, is cheap CGI has popularized the jump scare in lieu of storytelling. So instead of having, a good movie with, I don't know, maybe you've heard of these things called a plot or a story or characters
or scares that are based on primal human emotions and concerns.
Right. Instead of context and subtlety, what we're gonna do is we're gonna film a bunch of idiots storming around an office building we have for a weekend, as they are quote ghost hunting, and then we'll have digital spoofs jump out and go bleh, and then they'll scream and run away, and everyone will go, "Oh God, I'm so afraid of the incredibly predictable random horror thing."
Well, that seems like a problem in general, just with movie making. Kind of what I was getting at. Let me give you a quick example.
Okay.
So one of the stories that they covered, it's what's it called? It's called like Deep Woods or something like that.
Yeah.
And the quick overview, this girl who's like 12 or something, Her dad works for a big company, and he has to like open another location for this company. So they move to this small town in Pennsylvania for the summer. She hears a story about like a missing town in the area, and the neighbor boy, who she becomes friends with, she convinces him to like, let's go explore the woods, look for it. They find like this old church, and they break into it. They open a trap door. There's like this weird demon statue thing that then comes to life and like gets out because they let it out. And then eventually they move back to their hometown because his work is over, and over time she like everything about the town slowly disappears. Like she can't find anything on the internet, yada yada yada. And like her friend who was there, like she can't find anything about him either. Like he ceases to exist, and she keeps the police report as a reminder, and it slowly goes blank. That's the end of the first story, right? Good ending. Like everything disappears and she's left wondering. You have this nice suspense of kind of what happened. Well, then the writer came out with a sequel to it, which happens, I don't know, like 15, 20 years later. She's an adult. She's been obsessing about this, for the past 15, 20 years, and decides to go on a journey and try and find out what happens. And she gets to this other like city thing that has this weird museum exhibit, and she finds the statue, and yada yada yada. Turns out there's this big bad corporate guy who is trying to live forever and is using this demon's power to
Lord business.
Yeah, and he's trying to use the demon's power to gain eternal youth. And then one of the guy's security guards turns out to be her friend, who she thought had like died or disappeared, during this event. And then they have to do all this stuff and like lure the demon back to the old church that has like special sigils on it or whatever. And it got like super dumb and really hokey, like really, really fast. Like that first story, it was really good. It was this nice, like weird paranormal kind of horror mystery. You don't really know what happens, but like the main character survives. And then when the writer tries to do a sequel to it, it just like goes way off the reservation and just loses the plot.
Well, just like all the other movies we recently talked about, comic movies and whatnot, the problem I find is that a lot of modern horror, especially if you go by the name of Blumhouse, thinks it's too.
Blumhouse is
right. They think they're too good for horror movies, right? They're like, oh, we don't make horror movies. We make horror experiences.
Oh, Jesus.
Right?
Fucking Christ.
I've never heard anyone say that, but that's basically what they are saying in practice. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right? Because it's like, well, look, all you have is jump scares. And it's like, yes, but all you want is gore. It's like, no, we don't want gore. We want good, simple stories that we can enjoy. And yeah, we'll take... bad guy is a bad man, gonna do a bad thing, gonna eat a person's face. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
But could you also, perchance, if we ask you nicely, be like, can my character be likable? All right? Like I said, a friend of mine and I, we watched Wrong Turn 1, right? And what do you have? You have main guy who just happens to be a doctor and has some knowledge. You have Final Girl, who's clearly an action chick, and they have their friend, the girl, who is just the whiniest bitch. Okay, and she's with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend dies almost immediately when the bad guys start bad guying. Right? So now it's two chicks and a dude running around in the woods. Right? And the one guy, Hero Man, is reasonably good. Action Girl is reasonably good. Whiny girl is fucking whiny, and everything she does is retarded. And at every stage you ask yourself, why are we keeping this person? Why are we not abandoning this person in the woods? This person is going to get other people killed. What the fuck? Now we know that the answer is because Action Man and Action Girl are heroes, and we can't have them abandon the whiny one in the woods, because that would be realistic and ruthless. But we're okay with that. We will live with that contrivance if the film is good,
Yeah.
right? Because we actually are enjoying watching these people be stupid running around in the woods avoiding cannibals. Fine.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess like I don't know. I like that sort of like suspense, like paranormal sort of mystery horror.
Oh, absolutely.
I guess if that makes sense. And it always seems like a writer will start off with like a really good idea for it, and then it just kind of loses the plot.
Well,
Like they have a good base.
Well, let's use a really popular example that I fucking think is retarded. There's a film called The Boy, right? And the
Okay.
whole movie is this subtle psychological about this kindly old couple who hire a nanny to take care of a doll because, you know,
Oh,
they're crazy.
I've heard. I think I've heard of this movie.
Right. Well, the thing is that the doll is a doll. We know the doll is a doll.
Yeah.
Right? But the crux of the film is, but what if the doll is alive? And it's like, sure, whatever, buddy. That's cute. But we'll follow along. We'll see how it goes. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the ultimate reveal? The boy is alive. It's not the doll. Okay, so where was the boy? Living in the walls. And it's like, why? What do you mean, why? It's like, that's your terrifying reveal. Somebody cracked open a wall and the boy crawled out to do a murder. And these old people never saw the boy. The boy never took a shit in the 20 years he's lived in the walls. Nobody ever noticed him in the walls growing up.
And how I would have written that personally would be like the couple had a son who died like very young, or who got like really sick, and like they linked his soul to the doll to try and like keep him alive.
Right, which was the implication of the first film the whole way through till the last minute.
And yeah, and to have like a weird like almost human but not sort of like possession sort of thing, that would have been cooler.
But then they backtracked in the sequel and did that. They said, oh no, the doll actually was alive, the boy actually was a ghost, because they that was the only way they could take that story, and it was bad and people did not like it. And it's like, of course they didn't like it. You already invalidated your own internal logic. The fuck is wrong with you people?
Yeah, that's really dumb.
It is the height of dumb. But it was a film, like I say, that was like, oh no, we're too good to be a simple horror movie. Like, I know people were really into this film about a woman who has a vestigial Siamese twin on the back of her head that she didn't know about, that is possessing her body, and it there's a scene where it comes active in a police station and attacks the cops, and it's like a kung fu fighting film, but she's fighting cops by flinging herself backwards, right? And I'm like, that is not cool. That is not fun. That is retarded. And they're like, what do you mean? It's like, because you're watching a woman backwards fight cops with guns.
So,
because of evil that she somehow did not notice in her 30, 40 years of life, nobody touched the back of her head and ever found the vestigial twin on her skull.
So, is it like a mixture of pretentiousness and like trying too hard to be clever?
Yes.
That you think is that's the crux of the issue?
Yes. Because if you're just having fun making something sleazy but appealing,
yeah,
your product is infinitely better. If you have no pretensions about it, you can make really great stuff by accident.
Oh yeah, there was one story. It's called Tales from the Gas Station, and it's fucking hilarious. It's a dude that works at a gross old gas station on the edge of a small town. And weird things happen there constantly, and he's so used to it that it's like just mundane to him. And as he's telling you the story of things that are happening, he'll just kind of gloss over details like they're nothing, but like it's not something that a normal person should just gloss over. Like he talks about they have a bathroom cowboy that will just randomly appear in the bathroom, and he says like, yeah, one customer said he walked in and a guy dressed in, big cowboy hat, boots, big belt buckle, and was just handing out balloon animals, and he decided to turn around and not use the bathroom. And just says it like just just like, it's an average Tuesday night. Like that's hilarious to me.
Right. I mean, one of my favorite comedy horror movies, and I'm actually very much anti-comedy horror, just because badly done comedy horror is the worst.
It's really bad.
Right. Is I love Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
That is a good one.
Yeah. What if we take a couple of hillbillies, put them in a horror movie situation? Everybody assumes they're the bad guys, but actually they're just a couple of guys in over their head. And it's like, oh, well, the actual bad guy is the city folk. It's like, no. The actual bad guy is the person who believes all the horror movie tropes so completely that he takes it way too fucking far. Right?
Yeah.
That makes complete sense. Right? Because that's the guy that's looking to kill some hillbillies. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, what all do you have on your plate for the show, Rune?
I mean, we were talking about it. We went on a massive multi-minute.
No, I know. No, but I mean, like,
movies.
I was asking if you had other content. That was what I was asking.
I mean, I tried to catch up on Venom comics after watching the Venom films, and found that basically Venom is a trash fire now, not worth reading. We're between episodes of How Are We Gonna Fuck Over Moon Knight this week.
I mean, isn't that a Day That Ends in Y for Moon Knight?
I mean, yes, but usually we enjoy Moon Knight when he's getting fucked over by reality, but he's also being a hero. Right now, it's just Moon Knight in a suit, and he's running a soup kitchen. Because this whole Midnight Mission arc has got to fucking end.
That's way too altruistic for Moon Knight to be doing.
All right. So here's how this goes. Moon Knight has decided he can't do it alone, so he's got to have a Moon Knight team of weirdos. So what's on his team?
You mean a Moon Knight family?
Right, a Moon Knight family, because he's got to be Batman. So what do we got? Well, we have Hunter's Moon, who is, what if Moon Knight a doctor and also a dickhead? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because whereas Mark Spector is like, I don't buy in for this Egyptian bullshit. I don't think we should be sacrificing people's hearts. Right? Hunter's Moon is like, I am the hand of my fist of my god, and I will destroy the unbeliever. It's like, cool, whatever, buddy. On the other hand, you have there's Vampire Action Girl, who became a vampire through no fault of her own, and now Moon Knight's like, I will take you in. And then you have Soldier, who is Hydra Cap, but I'm actually a good guy now, and I'm a vampire, because vampires are bad, because they've decided that vampires are somehow Moon Knight's primary problem now.
Well,
because they prey on people at night.
Well, because Dracula still owes him $20.
Yeah, but Moon Knight used to hunt werewolves. It was his thing.
Well, no. Here's the thing, right? You know why there's the vampire problem?
Because they wanted to have a Blade event, because they want to compete with DC that had a DC vampire event.
No. They had a Blade event because they wanted to take advantage of the Blade movie.
That's not going to happen.
Well, they still have that Blade event out there.
Yeah.
So
where Blade was the bad guy again, because nobody remembers the Midnight Massacre. Oh wait, yes I fucking do.
Mm-hmm. So I got some content from the Fandom Pulse that Ayrton has so deftly pulled up.
All right. Readers turn on YA fantasy author Colleen Hoke. Okay. Over her Kickstarter using AI art for her Tiger's Curse novel.
All right.
All right.
Now, I want to look at this picture here. So, this picture here, I regularly get ads on my Facebook games for like 25 different books using this quality of AI art.
I mean, this
Uh,
looks cool.
mhm. AI art seems to upset the left more than any real world issue. Best-selling author Colleen Hoke, young adult fantasy author of Tiger's Curse, launched a Kickstarter for her series featuring AI augmented art, music, and film. She's getting savaged by her audience, with very few coming in to support her. Now, I don't know what her books are, never heard of them, don't care. But I personally think all this stuff about AI art is kind of fake and gay.
It's dumb.
Yes. Every day, mainstream artists and writers make virtual signaling posts about how they hate AI art or anything to do with AI. The standard rantings are usually about AI will end artists' jobs. However,
I'm sorry. Hold on. I want to interrupt you. I really hate the term AI in this because it's
Mhm.
not.
Yes,
It's not artificial intelligence. It's a
it's a
it,
large language model.
it's a language algorithm basically.
Yeah.
So
The standard rantings are usually about how AI will end artists' jobs. However, for most people who have used AI, what people find is reality is that the AI art is too inconsistent to use for much of a commercial capacity. This is correct. At best, it provides inspiration and conceptualization, making it easier for the average person to access their own creativity without having to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for the experience. Again, correct, something that is cost prohibitive for many.
Or
With
I will add, you can
mm,
also use it as a supplementary to something else you're doing.
mm, mm,
So, like if I wanted to record a song and wanted a horn section, I don't play any horns, but I could use one of the quote AI music generators to generate a horn section part for me. And then I don't have to pay, 3 to 4 musicians and I don't have to write out the horn part and or I don't have to buy 3 different horns and try and learn how to play them to record one song.
so here's my thing, because I've said this before, but I want to bring it up to clarify. I am not against quote unquote artificial intelligence or algorithmic or whatever you want to call it, computer assisted work. I just assert that if you are wealthy enough that you can pay a person to do it, you should. But that doesn't mean that you can't use it as a preliminary method or a tool for prep. If you're, crowdsourcing and you
mm,
need a draftsman's appearance, like, look, this is not the final, this is just what this might look like when completed,
mm,
there's no problem. That's what that's
mm.
for, right?
So you
Uh,
know how I mentioned that I see a bajillion of these apps in my feed for my Facebook games. She
right,
partnered with one of those companies, and that's why there's AI art in her Kickstarter.
right. So it's not even her choice. She had nothing to do with it, but people are mad at her about it like she did it. That's extra dumb. That is extra
Yep.
fake and extra gay. Because see, here's the thing. As you guys know, as we have gloriously shown on the gospel here, there's a music generator that we are familiar with.
Yeah.
I have
Suno.
been I have been working with Suno much more than I have been working with Night Cafe or any of the other
Mm,
venues that we have explored.
Suno works really well.
It really does.
Like obnoxiously well.
And
yes.
I don't, unlike Ayrton, I don't play an instrument. I don't have the fingers or the thing for it. I'm bad at math. I don't have the brain for it. But I have said before, I'm a halfway decent lyricist. I don't do good poetry, but I can make a fucking couplet. I can do a dirty limerick, right? So I have been practicing because I find it fun, surprisingly hard to make halfway decent original music on Suno, right? I don't do it for money, although I have thought about it. I don't promulgate it a lot to just everybody because I don't think it's good enough yet. It's not there. I haven't found the secret sauce. I'm trying to teach myself song structure, and I can't find good books or directions on the medium, because everywhere I look, they're like, "Well, just do whatever you think feels right. Use the ear."
What?
And then when one
Wait,
time
wait,
I
wait,
asked,
wait. You can't find anything on good song structure?
yeah, because when I look, I get a bunch of fucking bullshit, or they want to put it behind a paywall,
Dude,
or I can't find a fucking book on Amazon.
it's easy.
Right.
Like
one
there's
Yeah, but the one time I actually asked a professional, you know what they said? Don't be self-taught. Go look on the internet. It's like, I was looking on the internet, fucko!
it's simple. You have your intro, which is designed
Right.
to pull a person in. So think like the cover of a comic book.
Right. No, I know the individual pieces from the parts I have found, but I'm saying I'd like a more cohesive, structured explanation in a format I can take my time to study.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm gonna break it down. It's super easy.
All right.
So, I'm assuming you're working mostly in metal music.
I mean, I've done some country, I've done some other, but yeah.
So, well, I'll use metal as the basis.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Because
Use metal.
That's what you're familiar with the most.
We got a shared language in the metal. It's okay.
So you have your intro, which normally has like your main riff. So
Right.
so your riff would be like the opening of Master of Puppets or
Right.
something like that. And then from there you go into your verse, which is usually played down a bit, pulled back a little bit, kind of restrained, held in. And then you can either have what's called a pre-chorus, which is usually 2 to 4 measures that's kind of building until you get to the chorus, or you can go right to the chorus, which is kind of like your full energy, know.
Right.
Typically,
There's the thing, Erton. You said it, and you didn't even realize you said it, and this is what I have not been able to find. What the fuck's a measure?
Oh, a measure is just it's 4 bars on a music staff.
Yeah.
Great. That's the kind of thing I've been trying to find out. That's the kind of thing that all of the sources talking about song structure are like, well, you just kind of listen and you know. It's like, fuck you.
No,
these have actual terms and structures, and there's fucking logic behind it.
No, like a measure is like in how you write the music.
Right.
Yeah, so
it's even more basic than the structure.
Yeah, so
right.
So let's say your song is in the count of 4/4, so it's 4 whole beats per measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You will have 4 counts of 4 is going to be your measure.
Right.
That's what it means.
Right. No, I get that.
Yeah, that's all that means.
But that's the thing, is I'm trying to teach myself that shit, and this is an excellent tool for doing that when you don't have that knowledge base. Because it's like, do you work an instrument? Well, no. Are you good at math? Well, no. What can you do? I can put words into a machine and get out a result, and then I can listen to that result and learn what sounds right.
And I have to say, I only remember a measure because I paid attention in elementary and middle school music class.
See, I was in those classes as well, and I did pay attention, but my dumb math brain could not into music, no matter how much I wanted to.
Aaron has a good link there for you.
I also had the unfortunate distinction, what with being on the West Coast, that music and art classes were largely treated by a lot of the. Well, no, they were treated by my school structure as dumping grounds. We put the artists and the musician kids who aren't good enough to actually go to chorus or into band in those classes, just so we don't have to deal with them for a couple of hours.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Then the other thing, though, and the reason I used metal specifically is because different genres have different terminology.
Sure.
So like country has a thing called chicken picking, which is a guitar term, and it's a specific picking pattern where you use your pick plus your bottom 3 fingers to do a pattern that sounds like chickens kind of like pecking and scratching at the ground, or like blues has a term called a double stop, which is where you kind of slide into two notes at the same time and then immediately kind of cut it off. It's that one's hard to explain without actually doing it. My guitar's on the other side of the room, but so different genres have different kind of terminologies and different sort of things that define the genre, like chicken picking or double stops, or like in metal music you have like it's called a blast beat. It's a it's a drum term, and that and that's kind of like that I don't know how to explain it.
No, I get you,
but
because the thing is I have shopped around my stuff to a couple of friends, and including friends that are like, I don't really care for metal. They're like, yeah, I don't care for metal, but this is pretty good. I could listen to this, and that's nice. And you hooked me up with Audacity. Some of them that are particularly good, but the AI itself has decided to fuck them. I have been self-teaching how to edit music.
Yeah,
right,
Audacity's good. To an extent.
But here's the thing. Do you know how I actually am doing okay with Audacity? It's the funniest thing. Because for my job working for Moody in game design, he required us to learn Unreal.
Oh, okay.
Right? And in Unreal, you have to do animation keying. Right? Which is the same thing. You get into the bar and you grab a point and you like, I want to cut out the stuff between these 2 points, or I want to glue it together, or I want to stretch it out. Right, and that's the same thing here. Is generally I will go into Audacity and I'll have the song in front of me, and I'll look at the bits that are good, and then I'll find the bits that are wrong and not supposed to be there, and I'll be like, all right, chop this out, connect these musical bits, listen to it. Yeah, that sounds a bit right.
Try learning how to do what's called a crossfade.
Yeah, I'm familiar with what those are.
Okay, yeah, when you do the cuts, crossfading will make the cuts sound a little bit better.
Exactly. And I know how to do that. I'm not good at it, but I know how to do that. But I'm just saying, if you treat the tools as tools for what they're for, it's fine.
Yeah.
Where the extremist weirdos, dipshits almost have a point is that if you're using the tools to replace human industry, that is a problem. But it's not the problem as they're presenting it.
Right.
That's the thing. They're creating a false dichotomy.
And real quick, to circle back on the trying to learn sort of the song structure stuff.
Yeah.
Look up, there's a bunch of musicians that do this. But it'll be like so-and-so listening to whatever music for the first time. A channel that does a lot is called Drumeo.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, and look for metal musicians listening to other types of music,
right.
and you'll start to pick up like the different terminology and kind of how, because again I'm using metal because that's what you're most familiar with,
right.
And you'll be able to kind of like learn that stuff, and you can kind of go back and forth through like different types of musicians and stuff, and that's probably the best way for you to learn sort of like the genre cues and terminology, because basic music terminology, that's kind of there's like your base level, and that's kind of pretty much the same for everybody. It's when you get into the specifics, like I want this sound,
right,
you need to know the word in that what that genre uses for that particular type of sound, like blast beats, double stops, like slap bass, you have the thump and pop, you have the I forget what they call it, but it's like this weird thing where you press on the highest string on the bass and push it off the fretboard, and it makes this weird kind of squeaky sound. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but
guys,
it's something like
to the Gospel of Music by Ayrton.
But it's something a lot of like jazz and funk players do, and it gives it like this weird sort of fun, like being. I forget the term they use for it though.
Right.
But that's a good way to do it. Is watch those like so and so listening to so and so for the first time videos.
Right.
So, Ayrton, if
Yeah.
you could pull up that video, we're going to see how the Marvel television cinematic universe is going to screw up yet another piece of the Marvel intellectual property.
I mean, we could
Do we
also.
have to?
I'm just throwing this out there. We could also pull up how Disney has decided the future of Star Wars is Stranger Things.
Well, yes, but this is something that's actually interesting because this is about Wonder Man, who's a character who
I
should
have
be
seen
good.
this. Oh, it's not. It's gonna be ass. Carry
All
on.
right.
It's good. It's
got-
good. Yes.
You guys ready?
Yep. Let's do it.
Okay.
You can slate whenever you're ready.
Simon Williams, reading for Wonder Man. I was born to play this character.
We both have a lot riding on this.
You better not mess this up. I know.
Remember when Ben Kingsley was a respected actor?
He
Wait,
still
what?
is. He
I
still
felt like
is.
that,
but he
I
gets
felt like
paid.
that was way too short.
No, keep playing.
I
not done.
did. No, I did.
Oh,
We're back at the beginning again.
Simon
Yeah.
Williams, reading for Wonder Man.
but here's the
Is a
problem.
longer clip of this.
Yes, but here's the thing, right? What's the gist of the Wonder Man character in the comics? He's a villain who dies heroically, comes back from death, becomes a hero, but he's not really super into being a hero because that was a weird thing they did in the 70s and 80s. There were a bunch of Avengers who were like, yeah, I'm a superhero until this other thing I want to do gets off the ground. And he wanted to be a movie star. There's none of that gravitas, none of that character depth in that little clip there that we've seen.
I mean, there was nothing in that clip we just saw.
Well, I mean, the longer clip doesn't have anything in it either. Give me a second. I'll go pull that one up. But Rune, what's your opinion about the Wonder Man character and what they're doing here?
Well, I was never particularly sold on Wonder Man. I understood that he had done a thing and that he was an Avenger and that he appears in a couple of bits of media, but in my continuing argument to remind people that the Avengers used to be fucking second tier at Marvel because nobody gave a shit. It was a team made up of faileds, right? It's like, but Captain America had his own book, but Iron Man had his own book. There wasn't a swordsman book. And if there was, I'm sorry to tell you, it wasn't long running. Even if the swordsman's vaguely interesting, right? And no, I don't mean the purple Frenchman. I mean the guy with the black helmet and the murder sword. Okay?
That's the Black Knight.
Yeah, the Black Knight. But the Black Knight was a replacement for the swordsman who died. Right? Wonder Man just exists and is if anything more of a lore nod, right? But that's the thing, is we keep talking about the Marvel verse, and it's like, well, Marvel has no ideas anymore. They keep digging for something new and there's nothing interesting. It's like, yeah, because you're going for really obscure shit no one's ever heard of. And then when you actually put it out there, rather than lay the groundwork and sell me a Wonder Man, what is a Wonder Man? You approach it like I already know and I already love it, and I'm gonna love it already because I'm gonna love more of it, right? And the answer is no. Okay, let's take a different example real quick. We've talked about Shang-Chi and everything that's wrong with Shang-Chi. Do you know how you do an actual Shang-Chi movie and you make it good?
You just make a Bruce Lee movie?
Well, you make a Bruce Lee movie, but here's the thing. They did Captain Marvel and they said it in the 80s, right? So we know they can do historical, right? You don't just make a Bruce Lee movie and call it Shang-Chi. You make a Bruce Lee movie in the period where Shang-Chi could run into Bruce Lee. You put it in the late 60s and early 1970s, right? And you lean into all the tropes that they want you to believe are hateful and wrong now that make up an early Shang-Chi, where it's like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm in San Francisco. What are you doing? I'm a martial artist. What are you doing? Holy shit! The martial arts dojo wars. Okay, what's going on in the dojo wars? It's a cover. A cover for what? Ninjas, motherfucker. Why are there ninjas? Because evil. Well, who's running the ninjas? The Mandarin. Dun dun dun. And you just
Yeah.
play the martial arts fighting music. Just do the thing, right?
Now,
Okay.
here's another video I got here once we're done with this.
Before we hit that, I just want to wrap up here. Wonder Man. You want to sell me on Wonder Man? Okay. Do the thing, right? Start with Wonder Man in jail. Start with Wonder Man at the scene of his defeat. Start it wherever you have to start it. But explain it to me. It's like, okay, Wonder Man was a bad guy. Did some bad things. Got his ass kicked. Have him have that revelation. I'm real tired of getting my ass kicked. Have him say, I want to be a good guy now. And then basically do fucking Marvel's version of Hancock, where he has to get a public relations guy and be like, I want to become a superhero and I want people to stop kicking my ass. And just do that.
Okay,
Just
which
do it.
which
That
one
would
of these
work.
links am I pulling up?
The last one. Last
Okay.
one, because it's about the Fantastic Four.
Oddly enough, as you're pulling this up, we're actually talking about the same problem we were just talking about.
Yep.
People making this Marvel movie or any Marvel properties think they're too good for Marvel properties, and they combine pretension with disdain, with a fundamental overthinking it on the material. Rather than just do the simple thing and have it be good, they'd rather reinvent the fucking wheel and fail because they know they're going to get to keep going.
Now, this is my first time seeing this.
I have not seen this before.
Yeah, I haven't seen this
Go.
either. So
Can we make this big? Can we make this full size? Let's go. Let's do it.
We knew it would be hard. But I still don't understand how I couldn't see this.
Johnny, activate the shields.
It can't be. That's when everything changed.
This is an emergency call for the Fantastic Family.
Something has entered the atmosphere. What's that thing?
Your world is about to witness its
Jesus
annihilation.
Christ.
Our powers are the ones that are calling him. It's our responsibility to control them.
Guys, did you see that?
We're running out of time. Sue, what did you see up there?
The Devourer of Worlds.
Wow.
okay.
That's bad.
How is it that he can give
Okay,
us what we
hold
want
on,
and
hold
make
on.
it look like shit?
Before Rune goes off on his thing,
That looks really bad.
what? Okay, one, why is Sue British? Two, why does it look like a robot chicken cartoon? And three, why is the Silver Surfer a chick?
Because diversity, Aaron.
Right. So I'm gonna answer your questions in reverse order. One, to be different from the first Fantastic Four movies in the late '90s.
You mean the good ones?
Yes.
The halfway decent, badly made one with Ione Gufford. Yeah, they didn't want to do that one, so they needed to make the Silver Surfer a chick, which is not as lore breaking as it sounds. It's not Norrin Rad, but he's had female heralds before.
Yeah,
Fuck
I
it.
know.
But I mean, they should have brought Nova in.
They should have brought Nova in. Nobody would have questioned it. So, second, they did. I'm glad they're doing Galactus. That's nice. But
I'm not.
No. I'd much rather have Galactus than the fucking ultimate space spore bed.
Well, no, that's a
giant
terrible
robots.
choice. That's also a terrible choice to open with.
It really is. They should have done the Mole Man.
Yeah, they should have done
Absolutely.
Mole Man.
But but let's put that aside for the minute. You're gonna do Galactus, fine. Do Galactus. The boggle here is that the reason he looks like a robot chicken skit is because he's cheap. That's probably the same animation company that did the MODOK TV series.
Yeah,
with
but
Patton Oswalt.
why does everyone look animated except Pedro? Is it Pedro?
It's Pedro, yeah.
Okay, Pedro Pascal.
Well, I mean, why did their Johnny have to be, fucking comic exact with that awful hair? But somehow they made the Thing look worse. Because, I honestly cannot tell which is worse. The Fantastic thing or this thing. But you know what? I know what the best thing is? The best thing is somewhere between Roger Corman's Thing and 90s Thing. Because at least the Chickless Thing looks like a fucking dude.
Yeah.
Okay? And then... I mean... Your number one is basically indicative of the rest of it. Why does it look so shitty? Why is it so
my number
awful?
one is, why does Sue have a British accent?
Because they don't care.
Well,
They
she has a
don't
British
care.
accent. She has a British accent because they need to sell it to foreigners.
And they need to make it different from the 90s Sue, because nobody liked that actress as Sue.
Mid 2000. What do you mean? Everybody liked that when that
Yeah.
came out.
No, she looked the part and she
Jessica
could act
Alba-
the role, but the actual material given her was not very good.
The problem is the people making these things don't understand why the Fantastic Four work.
They don't understand the Fantastic Four is supposed to be fun.
Yeah. And that's
The
why
Fantastic Four is supposed to be stupid fun.
and that's why I say and technically it was like the mid 2000s were in. I think the first one came out in like 2005.
Yeah.
But anyway, is same, and I will say the same thing about the Wolverine Origins movies. Those movies are the perfect comic book movies because watching them is like watching a comic book on screen.
Well,
but therein lies the problem, Ayrton.
They're cheesy.
No,
they're
Ayrton,
ridiculous.
Ayrton, let's go with that. I'm going to endorse what you've just said.
Okay,
you are correct. Watching Wolverine Origins is like reading the comic book, and that book fucking sucked.
Yeah. So
if your source material is bad, then your movie is going to be bad. If you're making the Fantastic Four, don't try to make it a wondrous sci-fi about what's the universe like.
So
don't try to make it a fucking reinvention of body horror with a superhero film. Make it a fucking Fantastic Four film. I want to see the nation menaced by a swaggering, metal-plated East European despot.
let's rewind for a moment here. Settle down. So let's talk about how this is a problem from a metafictional standpoint for the MCU. So we got an ass pull with Ant-Man. I mean, Ant-Man wasn't a big ass pull. He was just like some dude who could shrink, did some stuff in the 50s, 60s, and the 70s. And there was also Giant Man who could grow. None of that is world shattering, right?
Yeah.
There was fake Captain Marvel, who was just some alien living on Earth who gave the MCU Captain Marvel her powers. That's not world shattering. A giant ass fucking alien, going after a space program location, that's a big fucking deal.
Yeah, especially with the first Avengers movie, the whole thing was like, oh
my god, aliens are here, and they're invading.
we're not alone. But yet
and
it
they
happened in
our
the
ass.
fucking It happened in the fucking 60s.
So what do you think about this this issue I have with this as part of the broader MCU narrative?
Oh no, I agree with you.
I mean Rune.
Oh,
unless Rune had a stroke to the point that he's lost his ability to speak.
No, I was trying to pull it back because you wanted me to settle down a bit. I was drinking my coffee and trying to find my calm. I was trying to find a happy place.
You were drinking coffee to try and find your calm?
Yes.
He's from the Pacific Northwest. That's a thing they do.
Okay. Yeah, fair.
I'm just saying, I was thinking back to this film by a dead man named Roger Corman, where they have this scene, this stupid scene, where their Reed Richards guy is talking to the Fantastic Four, and he's talking about how all of their mutations are reflective of their personalities, right? So
Yeah.
Reed is
So
literally
the people-
overstretched because he's trying to do everything.
So the
And
people who wrote that movie understood the assignment. I hate that meme, but that was a case of people who understood the assignment.
understood the assignment, and they were like, look, we know this is garbage. Even if they thought it was a real movie, they knew it was garbage. They knew they had no budget, and they knew that nobody was gonna give them a fucking Emmy for it, right? But they said, look, we can at least have a good time making it and try our fucking best. All right, and that's the thing. I was watching a clip randomly in my feed today where they was talking about Michael Keaton and Beetlejuice 2. Okay? And the argument is that Michael Keaton Tim Burton would not do Beetlejuice 2 unless Michael Keaton was involved. Michael Keaton said, fuck it, let's do it because I like money and I'm an older actor. Dude, don't have a lot of time left for my big things. Right?
Well, no, it's that new chick who played Wednesday. She convinced Michael Keaton to do it.
Right.
Because she fangirled, and he's like, fuck it. This sounds like a good time.
And Winona Ryder said that in her contract with Stranger Things, I'll only work with you guys if they should decide to make a Beetlejuice 2, I can drop everything and go do that. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And after the fact, Michael Keaton apparently opined that he had a great deal of fun making it. It was way more fun than the first one, and he would totally make another one if they asked. Right? And the whole time I'm thinking, I want you to have fun and be good at what you're doing, but if you're just playing around, that doesn't sound like that's a good film. Right?
I mean, it wasn't.
Well, because we've seen movies where the actors are literally just not trying. They're just being them on a set.
Ghostbusters 2016.
Yeah. But conversely, right? If you're having fun and you're working hard, you're trying your best, you're putting out what you got because it's all you got, right? I'm down. That works for me. I want more of that. And I do not understand why people think that giving a shit is a bad idea. I will never understand that.
Well, it's part of the anxiety that's driving our culture.
You daren't care. If you care, something bad might happen to you.
Well, no. If you care, then you're being disrespectful to the other people.
What, because they don't care?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, fuck them.
Well, you see, you're not part of the anxiety culture that dominates global society.
I have anxieties. That doesn't mean I'm part of the anxiety culture.
Yes, that is an actual fact. Most people who have anxiety don't want to participate in anxiety culture. That's why we have so much focus on trauma narratives.
I fucking hate that word.
Trauma?
It is one of those words that is getting played out to the point that it is non-useful.
I also hate the word anxiety too. Not to bash you, Rune, but everybody gets anxious about shit.
I didn't bring up anxiety. Larry brought up anxiety.
Well, but
it's because anxiety is the dominant mental affliction.
Do you want to talk about fucking? Hold on. You want to talk about fucking anxiety? Try being on a motorcycle going 80 miles an hour on the freeway and have 3 semi trucks around you going the same speed.
No.
Let me tell you about fucking anxiety, you motherfuckers.
Let's be honest. I am gonna make an attack. We are staging an attack right now. Anxiety is not the primary mental disparity and conversation in the country and indeed the world. Okay.
With young people, yes, it is.
No, it's not. No, because what they're doing is they're using the big boy word to deflect from what they're actually feeling, because we used to call it exactly what it is: fucking angst. And angst is for pussies. All right? I was in high school. My dad was a piece of shit. Okay? I was poor, I was crippled, and I had to deal with fucking subhuman knuckle draggers
Well,
every
you-
goddamn
You
day.
were
Here's the
you were born a poor black child down in Louisiana.
I wish. Then at
I
least
mean,
I
here's-
could say it
here's
was racism.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Rue. Angst is different from anxiety in one
No.
important way.
No, I'm getting to that. See,
Okay.
the thing is I had actual things to feel bad about, right? And I didn't have time for other people's angst. People who were having a bad time, who had nothing to be upset about, fucking pissed me off. All right? And that's what we're actually dealing with now. I know that that actual anxiety exists. I know that actual people with actual, difficulties exist. All right? But the vast majority of the people are like, "Oh, I can't do that. I just have too much anxiety." That's not what they're talking about. What they're talking about is I actually have nothing wrong with me, and that bothers me. So I need to find something to be upset about so that I can feel like I'm entitled to be a piece of shit.
So
that's called angst.
So here's the thing, Ro. As you well know, cancel culture uses the framework of the psychotherapy language of anxiety to exist. The basis for social emotional learning and DEI uses the psychotherapeutic language of anxiety.
Yes.
So while you're saying, "Oh, well, they're not feeling it," it's still the dominant cultural narrative. Because we're all anxious.
It is a narrative. It is dominant. It is also fucking bullshit. As we like to say on this show, it is both fake and or gay.
And it's also a dominant narrative because it's connected to the problem we've been having since at least the 50s, which is the focus on nostalgia. We're anxious. We don't know how to get ourselves under control. We keep looking back to the past, trying to find a time where shit was normal. So we're going to get a little bit more political for a few seconds here in the show.
Oh, we're going to get political.
Is that a good idea, Larry?
No, it's a great idea. It's a great idea. So, I mean, you've all heard people call Republicans Nazis out there, right? Do you know when the first time a Republican candidate was called a Nazi was? Do either of you know?
Tell Larry.
1940. Wendell Willkie. That was the first time a Republican candidate was compared in a negative light to Adolf Hitler. And it's been happening consistently since then.
See, I was gonna say Romney because that's the one I could remember.
Oh no, it predates Romney. So the issue is we have this nostalgic sense of there's a period of time where we had our shit together, and I'm more and more realizing that we didn't really have our shit together then either. Just we were better at faking it.
I think we were better at telling people who are being assholes to fuck off, which is not having your shit together, but it's calling at people out for what they're fucking about.
Now, could the solution be guillotines and stringing elected officials up over overpasses?
Not a good solution.
Oh, it sounds like I think it's a great solution.
Because there's a really shitty Blumhouse
You're an
movie
American.
about
You're
that.
endorsing a French solution. That should tell you everything you need to know.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
So,
it's a solution that gets my dick hard.
What? Because
mean-
you like angry French women? I mean,
hold up.
No, because I
hold
hate
up.
politicians more than I hate
Hold up.
the French.
Aaron, there's a much easier solution that gets your dick hard. It's called cocaine.
No, cocaine makes you impotent, Larry.
I mean, cocaine's expensive.
That too, and it has like fentanyl and shit in it now. I don't need to, be the next like George Floyd or anything. Plus, I'd just get canceled if I was in blackface if that happened.
So, do we have anything to deploy for the next 15 minutes of the show?
I do.
All right, let's do it.
Oh, I do. You guys are gonna hate this.
Oh boy.
Let's do it. By the way, this is what happens when people just start goofing around and having fun in a performance. Okay.
All right, you guys ready for this? Do you remember this
Yeah.
guy? I think I've played a couple of his videos before.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right.
What? Why? No! No! Get your naked, disgusting ass out of that tub and take that meat to the kitchen.
He's in a hotel. There isn't a kitchen.
This is a whole genre of food videos.
This is a whole genre of offenses against God. No! God! Go die in a fire, please.
All I gotta say is, if you do shit like this, you better be fucking tipping the cleaning staff.
And the fuck, I am not looking forward for the what the plumber's gotta deal with that fucking clog.
I mean, if
Like-
you do this, you don't get to see heaven.
I'm just saying, man. That plumber is gonna be like, oh god, there's another dead cat, and then he's gonna start pulling with the snake, and it's just gonna be like, what the fuck is this ground beef? The fuck am I looking at?
So I either have a video from Masiokas, our insane dude, cooking in his dilapidated
It is
house.
Fallout shelter.
Yes, yes, that
It's called-
one. That
it's
one.
Called, it's called The Day the Noodles Caught Fire. Or there's Stuffy Bunny eating food
No,
and
no.
ranting about
No.
body
No,
positivity.
we
her last video.
we haven't seen this guy in his destroyed Canadian house in a long time.
All right. So this is the day the noodles caught fire.
I have no surprise that the noodles are about to catch fire.
Well, this is a bowl of noodles.
All you gotta do is
So
boil
this video
water,
was
bitch.
posted 3 years ago, by the way.
That's fine. That's fine.
Just look.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's still
Oh.
good, 2013. Now,
All you
here's the
gotta do is
story.
boil some water, bitch.
This thing, the way it works is you remove the plastic thingy, and then you pull the little thingy up, you
Mhm.
pour some water in, you wait
That is one way
until
to
it
do
gets
it.
the line, and then you put it in the microwave for 3 minutes. And after 3 minutes, you take it out of the microwave. Now, I've
Mhm.
done that over and over again for so long, and it's never been a problem. Now, today, sorry for the mess, the Drano will clean it all up. But today,
What?
sorry for the darkness. I don't know if the light works. Today, I put the stuff in the microwave. I'll try to get this light on.
I
Shit.
don't think we've seen this room
Well,
yet.
anyway. Okay, so I put it in the microwave.
It is murder basement.
as
That is
usual,
black screen.
I put it in for 3 minutes. But this
Because I have a
time
black
something
screen.
different
So do
happened.
I.
Ah, shit. I can't explain it. But, oh, shit. Okay.
Okay, so
But,
he is in fact
this time,
in a pitch black fucking room.
it caught fire. Look at this. I mean, I'm not. This isn't some kind of strange trick where I, burned it and put it in.
Let's just take this image in for a second. He somehow got a paper lid that's on a cup of noodles to catch fire like it was tinfoil.
Hmm? Hmm?
Larry, you're the smartest one here between the three of us. Explain.
Well,
I don't think we need Larry's scientific understanding. I believe we need a necromancer or a a wizard or perhaps a witch to explain this defiance of physics?
I mean, there's the fact that there appears to be some shiny metal bits in there. I suspect he might have put some of that on his noodles, which is not how those are cooked.
For the show or whatever, this is real. I swear, I put this in the microwave the same way I usually do. And the thing, I mean, I was here and the door was closed, and then I waited 3 minutes as usual, and I went back to take it. And there was a smell of burning, and then, God, what the hell happened? And it smelled like something had burned. Then I go get my noodles, and shit, it's all
Do we think he's
melted
going to
up.
eat it?
And
I mean, place your bets now,
Ashes.
ladies and germs.
how can noodles in a microwave catch fire? I mean, it's the same thing as the other one. I had a whole bunch of these.
Wait a minute. He put the tinfoil in the microwave.
Well, you're supposed to microwave them.
No, you don't put tinfoil in the microwave. That leads to a non-working microwave.
Yeah, but he said you're supposed to just microwave it. And he's done it before, and it was fine.
I mean, nothing strange ever happened. I don't get it. Let's see if I can get this light working. Ouch. Oh God. This is complicated. Wait a minute. There should be some electricity thingy here. Shit. Wait a minute. Okay. Now we're gonna take the light. See. Okay, good. I wonder if there's. Oh shit! There's some darkness at the top, not too much. And shit, I wonder how can a bowl of noodles catch fire?
Well, I mean, you put an accelerant in there.
I don't get it.
I know
maybe I'm
people
just too
with
tired.
tism
This
who
is
are
why
less
strange things
retarded
happen.
than this.
I'm gonna think about it.
I
when
don't think
go
you're
to
supposed to
sleep or
say that
something.
word anymore, Rune.
But that is really something
Fuck.
strange. Anyway, so yeah, I know I haven't made a video in like a billion years, but I'm sort of like working day and night these days, and the reason why the mess has sort of come back is that.
Wait, did the mess
I barely
ever
have a
leave?
moment of free time. I
Has
mean,
there
it's
ever been
Friday
a
evening.
not mess?
Remember, Rune, he doesn't actually live here. He just owns this house to do these experiments and shit in, and he's been working on it for like 20 years, trying to clean it up and make it livable.
I have to work tomorrow, and I've been working like 5 weekends in a row now. And, usually I get back, it's like 8 or 9 p.m. and I'm tired. I don't have time to clean up. So, yeah, that's the situation. I'm just overloaded with stuff now. But anyway, I'm going to think about this burning noodles next time I'm in the office. And You know, I guess it'll just the memory of the burning noodles will just keep me company or something. Anyway, so I'll see you guys
The
soon.
memory
Well, I
of the
won't see
burning
you.
noodles.
I mean, I don't think we could end on a higher note than that. So good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.